Hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from Mother's Basement, an interesting one titled Too Many Isekai. You do get the odd one every anime season, like I've enjoyed the Rising of the Shield Hero this year. That time was reincarnated as a slime about SAO alicization. But this season there seems to be about 5, maybe 6, and I just haven't bothered with any of them just because the titles seem very generic in itself, and it just seems like they're not even trying anymore. High school prodigies have it easy in another world, and then you've got, where's the other one here? I will get into the video, I swear. Didn't I say to make my abilities average in the next life? It's like they're not even trying with the titling of these. It's like just insert people into another world and bam, there's the story. So let's see what Mother's Basement has to say on this, shall we?
Since before I even started making videos about anime, concern over the proliferation of isekai has been a prevailing topic.
I mean, Konosuba's amazing, ReZero is incredible.
Is the subgenre even any good to begin with? If not, why is it so popular?
Oh god, that was awesome.
If so, can you not still have too much of a good thing? And in any case, how much isekai is too much? As the title of this video suggests, I'm looking to answer that last question today because it's especially pressing right now. Fall 2019 has brought us no less than 6
There we
isekai.
go. That's mad.
All
That
but
is
one of
mad.
them brand new. And no matter how insatiable one's individual appetite for otherworldly adventures may be, I think we can all, at the very
That's the
least,
Ascendance of a
agree
Bookworm, isn't it? Is that what it's
that's an
called?
awful lot of them. But is it too many? Or, if the shows are good and varied enough, could one weeb comfortably watch and appreciate all of them without caring about the quantity? Is there an upper limit to how many isekai?
Well, it depends what kind of
this fall
genre they are. I know isekai is a genre, but
because the problem that plagues many oversaturated markets, a high quantity of homogeneous, low-quality content, isn't an issue here for once. Most of the new isekai airing right now are significantly different from each other and the genre standards and tone and concept, and they all have at least one thing that they do really well. None of them are bad anime. So, to see what makes them work individually, what sets them apart from their present contemporaries and the ever-growing genre as a whole, let's take a look at the 3 new shows that I didn't cover on my Fall Wants to Watch list. If you'd like to hear my thoughts about the other 2, The Hero is Overpowered but Overly Cautious and Kimono Michi Rise Up, you can check that video out.
That one did seem interesting. It was very different.
Their specific section starts at 3 minutes and 22 seconds. When you're trying to make a new series stand out in a space as crowded as the isekai subgenre, there's 3 ways you can go about it. You can try to freshen up the old formula by using it to explore novel themes, subvert that formula in some way for the sake of
hell yes, Konosuba was genius with that.
Blend its common elements with another genre in an attempt to make something new. Didn't I say to make my abilities average in the next life takes the latter approach.
Really?
Reimagining your standard adventuring party as your standard club of 4 adorable moe girls,
of
plus
course.
1 cute mascot.
Oh, that is cute.
Cute girls doing RPG things. Winter's Endro did something similar with a more standard fantasy setup, but of course Average Abilities light novel did it first, and I think the specific quirks of the isekai premise lend this newer show a charm all its own. There is also a parody element to the series, evidenced right there in the title.
Oh wow, that's
heroine,
class.
Misato Kurihara, who goes by Mile in the New World, was a high school honor student and closet otaku who died on graduation day, saving a little girl from our old friend Truck. Meeting God at the border between this life and the next, she makes one odd request. No cheat abilities, please and thank you. Just make my abilities average in the next life. Mile, you see, was a lonely genius who felt that her exceptional intelligence isolated her from her peers, and in her new life, the only escapist fantasy that she's looking for is having friends.
Aww.
Unfortunately, her genre savviness does not extend to knowing that you always make your wishes as specific as possible, and God decides to find this average using politician math. So instead of having the abilities of an average human, the 12-year-old Mile has the median power level of every creature in existence, which works out to around half the strength of the god-tier Elder Dragon.
Oh my god.
Whoopsie. On the bright side, she's not actually in a genre where power levels matter all that much. This is a light and breezy moe club show at heart, so her overwhelming strength only serves to relax any narrative tension that might get in the way of the fun.
Right,
and
okay. Here's an
enemy
killer. Kind of like One Punch Man.
Coincidentally meets on her first day in town are a little perplexed by her OP magic skills. They're not really bothered by them. Grinding sure is a lot less tedious with a demigod on your side after all, and
yeah, I'd imagine.
besides that, they all get along really well, which is a heck of a lot more important to all of them than finding out whatever it is that Mile is hiding. They can tell she has a good heart deep down, whatever her secrets may be, and that's what friendship is all about.
Yay. Friendship.
In short order, Miles' strength starts rubbing off on her new companions, making the mages Reyna and Pauline and the noble swordswoman Mavis pretty overpowered in their own right. And as their friendship grows closer, her otaku tendencies start rubbing off on them as well.
Yeah.
In a charming moment from early in the series, after exhausting her store of classic Japanese bedtime stories, Miles spends a long night regaling her friends with the adventures of the Goblingers. An obvious riff on the Power Rangers, whose tales of rubber-suited daring do eventually inspire the aspiring adventurers to announce their new party with a full pyrotechnics.
That's amazing. Oh, I actually might want to check this out.
Obviously, jokes are a dime a dozen in otaku-targeted isekai anime, but there's something adorable about a protagonist turning their newfound fantasy friends into second-hand weebs by way of enthusiastic oral retellings of children's television.
That's boss.
Also, as a devout follower of Nendoism, I must wholeheartedly endorse
Is that meant to be Master Roshi?
To import Earth's greatest form of sculpture to this new world. Despite their prevalence, these references are really just a side hustle for average abilities. The stock and trade of its humor lies in the vibrant personalities of its core cast. Mile is a bit of a ditz, eminently capable in combat, but utterly lacking in common sense. Thankfully, Reyna, the party's fire mage, who spent a few years adventuring before signing up for hunter school, has that side of things covered. Though it's not like she's trying to help you
personality
by correcting
balances
your
everyone
silly
out.
misconceptions. Baka. Mavis, a tall and handsome noblewoman turned knight, plays the role of the party's confident straight woman, though her matter-of-fact demeanor, coupled with adorably sincere enthusiasm, makes her pretty entertaining in her own right. Lastly, there's Pauline, the party's sweet but scheming and miserly healer who loves her friends dearly and will defend them to the death, but who is utterly ruthless with everyone else, especially when there's gold on the line. The interactions between these girls are really cute and funny in that light, wholesome, easily digestible moe kind of way, which is probably the show's biggest saving grace as its potential audience faces isekai fatigue. It's really easy to watch.
It needs to be
and
different.
just relax, and it doesn't get in its own way, for the most part. The frequent, predictable refrain of, "My titties aren't small, why I oughta," did really start to grate on me after that first episode.
Can be a bit much when you use the same jokes over and over. It's like,
short gags served with a soggy side of "what the fuck, guys, she's 12" aren't exactly what I'm looking for in my comedy anime, but thankfully they only come up frequently enough to annoy, not overwhelm. And with the first arc's creepy pedo villain exiting stage left, I'm really hoping that their appearance will only decline from here.
Right.
Remember, if you want to read ahead and tell me how wrong or right I am about that Bookwalker link is right there in the doobly-doo. My reading of Sunchan and Araiski's already been completely destroyed, not that I'm enjoying that show any less, so, take that prediction with a grain of salt, but on the whole, if you need an extra dose of moe in your life and you like the fantasy setting, I think that average abilities will serve you well.
It seems
moe
okay.
Slice of life shenanigans
It seems
are one
alright,
thing,
yeah.
But what if you're looking for a more convincing, realistic portrayal of daily life in a medieval fantasy world? Perhaps with a smidgen of cuteness on the side. If that sounds like your kind of thing, then Ascendance of a Bookworm could very well become one of your favorite.
This sounds
isekai
so
ever.
dumb. Please
For the
explain
common
it to
man,
me.
Life in pre-industrial societies was difficult, tedious, and often short. Isekai anime, often set in medieval times, have to use a lot of tricks to obscure that basic fact and preserve the illusion of escapist fantasy. So-called cheat abilities are the most obvious example of this, but just by reincarnating their heroes into noble families or isekaiing them into a scenario where they have a chance to talk with someone who has money or power who will actually listen to them, these stories tend to give their protagonists a massive leg up that most people in their worlds would never dream of having. But what would happen to someone who didn't have that kind of luck? I present to you the case of one Urano Motosu, a quiet bookworm who sadly died just days away from reaching her modest lifelong dream of becoming a librarian. In her last moments, she wished only to be surrounded by books in her next life. Another modest dream that the world is far too cruel to let stand. Reincarnated into the sickly body of a young girl named Mine, second daughter to a city guard and peasant seamstress in a time before the advent of movable type, Urano faces the very real chance that she may never see another book again.
Oh no.
But Mine isn't the type to take that looking down. Well, okay, her frail constitution does frequently leave her bedridden days on end, but she's not about to give up her beloved books without a fight. Though she's starting from nothing, she is bound and determined to learn this world's writing system, create books of her own on papyrus, clay, or whatever other ancient medium she can get her hands on, and eventually make that modest dream a reality, even if she has to build the damn library herself.
Yeah, but what's the story?
None of which is nearly as impossible as it first seems, because despite her unlucky starting roles, she does have a lot going for her. Mine is a nerd, no doubt about that, but she's the rare isekai protagonist who isn't an open otaku. Rather than light novels and manga, she spent most of her last life poring over literature.
Oh, okay, that is different for an isekai anyway.
Learning things that would actually be useful in a world that doesn't run on video game logic. And when she wasn't reading, she spent much of her youth helping her mother with home crafts, meaning she knows how to cook, crochet, weave, and even make things like shampoo and soap. Little things that her new family and friends greatly appreciate. This series has a real eye for little things like that. It's a slow burner, to be sure, but it uses its time effectively, painting an impressively detailed portrait of daily life in its world. As Mine slowly pursues her single-minded quest for literacy, we see how her family eats, works, and goes shopping day to day. We see them partake in annual traditions that come with the passing seasons. We see how shops are run and local communities interact. We even learn about the role that town guards play in local trade. It's rare to see any fictional world that feels this fleshed out. And yeah, Bookworm does draw a lot of inspiration from real-world history to achieve that effect, but it puts equal care and attention into exploring the more fantastical elements of its own invention.
I don't think I'd enjoy this.
For example, there are these trees made of ice that blossom on winter mornings and disappear by day's end, leaving a narrow window in which to harvest their surprisingly versatile fruits. In other isekai stories, this would be a flavorful background detail, acknowledged in a single sentence at most in order to get to the fights faster. Here, it's a plot point unto itself that demonstrates how life and work changes with the seasons for peasants in this world, and gives Mine a chance to exploit some of her modern knowledge. And considering that this show has made a tree this exciting, man, I cannot wait to find out more about the magic system that it keeps hinting at. I don't know that every weeb out there will enjoy Ascendance of a Bookworm.
Doesn't seem like my kind of thing, but, you know, each to their own.
But its detail-oriented storytelling certainly
I just keep thinking Attack on Titan when I see those
gently
videos.
prodding you to be more grateful for all the modern conveniences in your life, and it's grown on me immensely with each passing episode, to the point that it could end up being one of my favorite shows of the season, actually. And I'm kind of regretting leaving it off that fall list. I love its underlying message that with hard work, dedication, and most importantly, loving support from friends and family, people can do anything they put their mind to, no matter the odds stacked against them. And while it progresses slowly, the emotional payoff whenever Mine does finally accomplish one of her goals is really satisfying. This show's definitely a heartwarmer. But moreover, I've just genuinely never seen a story quite like this one before, and I don't get to say that too often.
It does sound different. I'll give it that. It does sound different.
Skill has been done before, and Fall's last new isekai, High School Prodigies Have It Easy Even in Another World, really takes that concept to its logical extreme. The show follows a group of 7 teenagers: Masato Sanada, Aoi Ichijo, Shinobu Sarutobi, Kane Kanzaki, Ringo Ohoshi, Prince Akatsuki, and Tsukasa Mikogami, who are the world's greatest businessman, samurai, ninja, doctor, inventor, magician, and politician, respectively. Globally renowned as the 7 luminaries, these kids were truly on top of the world until a wayward plane brought them crashing into another one. But with their combined skills, it'll only be a matter of time until they're on top of that one, too. In theory, this show has the potential to take an uncommonly wide view of its fantasy setting, diving deep into its political conflicts, its economic systems, its magical industries, all while mixing in thrilling sword fights, ninja nonsense, and other more typical heroic isekai acts, with each hero's unique expertise allowing them to offer deeper insights into the world than a regular otaku could muster. In practice, though, the first arc is a basic bitch adventure in economics, with the merchant Masato vowing to wrest control of a captive city market from the monopolistic clutches of an evil cartoon capitalist who, I guess, exists to make him look better by comparison. Masato's brilliant business scheme is to blackmail a local politician into giving him a trading license, and then use that with a basic revenue-sharing model to allow the traders whom the other company had exploited to sell their goods directly and profit from that. Yeah, if you're looking to have your oddly specific cravings for agrarian economics anime,
that is quite...
Spice and Wolf, this ain't. And that's the most well-thought-out story in the show so far. There's a lot of potential in a brilliant scientist modernizing an underdeveloped fantasy world. That's the whole hook of Dr. Stone. But
Yeah.
Ringo and her robot assistant never really bother to explain the science behind what they're doing, and she doesn't actually do much in the story besides occasionally popping up to tell one of the other characters, hey, I invented a thing that you can use in the plot later, which still beats Tsukasa, the world's greatest politician, de facto group leader, who hasn't really done anything.
So this sounds
aside
really
from
boring.
the
What
initial
is...
integration of his friends into the village and make no eyes at the big titty elf girl. Shinobu the ninja, Aoi the samurai, and Kane the doctor have all done more on paper, but none of them have any real agency. They seemingly only exist to use their fighting and or doctoring skills to solve other people's problems, although the
Nothing for
story is
themselves.
still early going. I think I'm most disappointed with the handling of Prince Akatsuki, though. I love the concept of throwing an illusionist into a world with real magic, but the series leaves
That
his
is quite
tricks
funny, yeah.
entirely unexplained, which makes them functionally indistinguishable
Oh.
from that magic to the audience. Which, now that I say it out loud, is kind of the biggest problem with all of these prodigies. Most of the incredible things they do are hand-waved away with, it worked out because they're geniuses. And
there's
if
no
the
actual
writers
logic
aren't
to
going
it,
to bother
right.
to show us that intelligence in action, how is that any different from the genre's bog-standard formula of he won the fight because
Yeah,
his stats were
because
higher?
he's OP,
I imagine that
yeah.
part of the problem is just how many different kinds of genius the show has to demonstrate at once.
It's
Between
too much
all
of a
these
cast, isn't
characters,
there?
it's stuck juggling action, drama, romance, and both political and economic intrigue with no time to do any one thing particularly well. Ironically, though it sells itself as a show about the genius experts of 7 different trades, High School Prodigies really ends up coming off as your typical master of none. It is very nicely animated in places, important places even, and though the writing's a bit, dumb, there is
Okay,
something
be nice about
undeniably
it.
fun about watching all of these confident, ridiculously overcapable teenagers bouncing off each other and using their skills and knowledge to take over the world, even if those skills and knowledge aren't really explained.
Yeah,
It's exactly the
they just
kind
do.
of easy, consumable Chunibyo fantasy that I could see myself watching to pass a bit of downtime in any other season. But this fall, with 4 better, more unique isekai and the reigning king of Chuni fantasy SAO on the table,
Yep.
plus over a dozen other great shows to watch besides, yeah, I ain't got time for that shit. And since watching anime is my job,
Yeah.
I can't imagine that many of you guys do either. So, are there too many isekai anime this season? Well, since there are enough that I've decided to hard drop a show that I'd normally let languish and plan to watch Purgatory, I guess the answer is yes. Though only in the sense that there are enough to hurt the viability of that narrow fringe of decent yet unexceptional and unimaginative works. Of course, the more shows there are, the higher the threshold for what constitutes an acceptably good isekai will
I
be.
suppose
But
that's
so long as there's a
true.
spark of genuine creative passion behind it, something that no other anime does in quite the same way,
Konosuba.
I think that any show can make a space for itself,
Why does it-
regardless of
Oh,
what
no,
it's
that's
up against. The Kashi
ReZero,
Hero,
that's okay.
Kimono Michi, Bookworm, and average abilities are all testaments to that, in their own way. I suspect that, so long as they're all good, there's no such thing as too many isekai for one season.
Pour this
Or
all
maybe
on.
it's just 7. It could be 7, or 8, or 12, or maybe it's 6, and I have Stockholm Syndrome. Who knows? Whatever the number is, if it's out there, then one thing is certain. With the way the industry's been heading, we are bound to find it sooner rather than later. Now, if you're the type
Yeah.
who just can't get enough isekai, then even this slate of anime may not be enough.
The book one, as different as it sounds, for me personally, it just does not grab my attention. I appreciate it trying to do something different, but nah. That third one, I hate it when it's just like when stuff's not explained and out there. Like you just said, someone that's really good at doing illusion stuff and then does that there, making it look like magic, but then it just looks like magic and it's not explained as an illusion. That just seems dumb to me as well. But hey, thank you guys very much for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys. See you guys next time.